Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 62nd edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jaden.
Hello.
Hello. And Paul Thomas Anderson's number one fanboy, a.k.a. John Cena, a.k.a. Liam.
Hey.
A.k.a. Fitzy. That's the most important one to get in there, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, because I'm going to proceed to call you Fitzy 80 times. You know?
That's true.
And we always have at least 200 new listeners every week that get confused by that and message me directly and ask. So,
do you have like 6 people on your podcast? Like, what is this?
Yeah. So, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is A Quiet Place Part 2, which opened in the US on the 28th of May, 2021. It was directed by John Krasinski. The genre is a horror. Would you call it a horror, Jane?
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, no, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't give it only horror, you know.
What would you add? Action? I don't know.
Action.
Sure. You
Thriller?
feel like you need something else
Action,
in there.
Action, thriller, horror.
Yeah. That's good. But what horror isn't a thriller, though? You know? Horror movies pretty shit if there's no thrills.
You know, I'm cheating by going back to, like, the 60s horrors, you know, like The Haunting, you know. It's like it's scary, but it's not a thriller, you know, because it's very campy and type of, you know, kind of dated type thing. I'd assign those labels there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's that. And the synopsis reads, following the events at home, the Abbott family now faces the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realise the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path. That was a cool touch, actually. I didn't, like, when they... Was the sand path in the first movie? I didn't remember it. But when they, like... It was, okay, and then they, like, stepped beyond it for the first time. That was neat. Jaden, what did you think of A Quiet Place Part 2?
I really liked it. I thought it was, in terms of overall quality, I think it's rather on par with the first one. I think, you know, the first one kind of had this uniqueness about it. But then I think this one was more familiar. Not generic, but, you know, familiar. But I think it still did well enough in its everything that it did that it wasn't boring or slow or fell into any other kind of trappings, you know. I felt some Last of Us vibes when they went on their little journey, which I was happy to feel. And yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Fitzy?
Yeah, I think it took the first one in an interesting direction. It felt kind of cut short, especially at the very end. But so it kind of felt like half a movie, but I think I liked it. Yes.
That's a good point, actually. It did feel like that. I felt like that. I was like, I sort of, you know, when you get the sense that this is a final shot when you're watching a movie, and then most of the time you're right, and then sometimes I find myself wrong, like, oh, the movie's still going. I had it where it was like, that shot is quite long, and I didn't click until like 2 seconds before it came. I'm like, oh wait, this is a final shot, you know, because I wasn't expecting it to end at that point either. But hey, I think it's better for a movie to leave you wanting more than the other way around. But I think this movie's great. It's a great theater experience, just like the first one was, and I think it's really cool. I enjoyed the first one when I saw it, for its simplicity and its focus. I don't know, but it's not one that it's not a film I think back on that highly. You know, like I like it, but I'm not like, oh, dude, A Quiet Place, that was an crazy, amazing movie or something like that. But I don't know, I really enjoyed this expansion of the world, venturing out a little bit. The journey that we go on feels grander, and something just doesn't feel that grand, really, because it's still, I feel like we're just hanging around the same sort of county area. But even that feels grand in compared to the first movie and what they established there. And I found that a lot more appealing personally. And I think, John Krasinski has proven himself to be a terrific director. Of course, first one, but he wrote this film too. He did not write the first film. And
didn't he collaborate writing the first film?
He might have done. But he's never, like, written a screenplay, like, just, you know. Well, he might have written 20, I don't know. But you know what I mean? He's never put one to screen, like, just his screenplay. I thought he did a great job. Really enjoyed it. And what this film is almost entirely it works in its execution. And for all of those technical aspects that they needed to nail to make this work, they nailed again. So I was really impressed with it for sure. So compared to the first movie, let's start obvious, okay? So Cillian Murphy is the most substantial addition to the cast this time around. He was so great, right? How good was he? I love Cillian Murphy. I'm realized I feel like Jane was on this bandwagon before me, and I've now joined millions of people around the world after seeing a bit of Peaky Blinders and this movie. I'm like, all right, he's great. I love him so much. When it looked like he was going to die for a moment at the end, I was really concerned. And that's a good sign, I think. And his character building, simple. He's in grief, as I'm sure any survivor in this situation would be. But the character building stuff, the conversation he then gets to have towards the end with what's the deaf girl's name? Her character's name? God damn it. She's so good, by the way.
The actor's name is Millicent, right? And I know that much.
Yeah. That's right. Because they don't really say characters' names in the movie, you know.
Her name's Regan, apparently. I don't think I ever heard that mentioned. Yeah.
No, I don't think so either. No, they don't really say characters' names in this movie, which makes a lot of sense, obviously. But anyway, conversation he ends up having with her at the end. Great character stuff. I really enjoyed it. Did you, I assume you enjoyed Cillian Murphy, Jane, but was he your favourite character and performance, or was there another standout to you?
No, he was definitely the standout for me. I think it was really great. Especially because, like I said, I've done that bit of The Last of Us. I think, dude, like, seeing him like that, I'd cast him as Joel in my Last of Us series, honestly.
Yeah.
I really bought it. I bought everything with him, I think, I kind of wish we didn't see him in the trailers, because it kind of been a bit more of a reveal. But then, we see him at the start of the movies that kind of tells us later, Cillian Murphy's too big of an actor to cast for a 5-second cameo at the start, so it tell you he's popping back up. But yeah, no, I
for
really
a guy just sitting watching baseball, it's a bit too good for that. He looked great in that beard, didn't he?
Mm.
That's I got all the post-apocalyptic vibes from that.
He looked very
he did. That's true. He does a great accent too. He does great accents. Like I feel like he does a different accent in almost everything, and it's always great. What do you think, Fitzy? Did you? Oh, I have to say honestly, like I just went on a Cillian Murphy rant, but I think Regan, she was terrific. Absolutely, she's probably the main character of the movie. I loved her. She was awesome too. Did you have a favorite, Fitzy?
No, I thought Cillian added this like kind of despair kind of angle that wasn't in the first one, and the film kind of went in that direction, which is more interesting with the the people. I don't know what to call them. Andy and Lockie called them hobos, but the people by the boats, who were like a little community of kind of just crazed individuals, I guess. But he like added something that wasn't as much in the first one. Not that it had to be in the first one, but it took the series or the next part in an interesting path. And I mean, just generally, he's really great in the little moments. So yeah, I think he was pretty great. I think like Emily Blunt and the boy was they kind of had the same kind of thing with the first one, and they also didn't have as much to do really because they were kind of in their own half in the second half, which was a bit strange. It definitely feels like it's leading to a kind of third thing, but I'd say the girl and the Cillian really were the highlights.
Yeah, no. Oh, she's great. She's great. I hope she pops up in more things because I totally bought her as the protagonist of this movie, and I wasn't expecting her to be that, but she definitely was. I'm glad you brought up the creepy survivors at the docks. I love that because it's like it's world building, and
Yeah.
it's I guess it's like traditional post-apocalyptic world building where it's like there are communities out there, they're rough and they're sketchy as, but it was all really subtle. Like, I feel like in other stories, in a post-apocalypse, it would be a situation where it's like, look at how terrible these people are. They're clearly cannibals, or like do something like really obvious and overt with how shit they are and scary they are. They just turn up, and you just get the vibe you don't want to mess with these people without it ever being like, we see their community where where they keep people in chains or something. I don't know. The thing is, the movie never told us why they're bad, why we should be scared of them, but it didn't have to because like I was pretty well intimidated. I didn't like that they were going to take Regan. I don't know why. You know what I mean? There's implications there I don't like, but I like how the film just does that. Just sort of it's very much just leaves it at that, and I enjoyed that. So you mentioned in the second half of the movie, it does this interesting thing, which is obviously in a stark contrast to the first film, which is very focused on just the Abbotts, their family in their house. This film does something really interesting where it completely changes structurally, and it ends up being dual stories, two different stories that we're following simultaneously, cutting back and forth. And I wasn't feeling it. In the middle of the movie, I'm like, this is an interesting choice. I don't know why I'm watching Emily Blunt look for medicine. You know what I mean? When the other stuff I found with Cillian and Millie going to the island was way more interesting. I don't know. So is that how you felt, Fitzy? Did you feel the dual stuff was a bit weird? Is that what you were saying?
Well, I thought they would. I thought the movie would be about them trying to reunite. And I thought, they'd get to the island, maybe they'd, I don't know, get a few people and they'd try to track back and it'd be that kind of thing or something. So I was like super surprised when it ended on in the radio station or whatever. So I don't know. I guess in retrospect, I don't know what to make of that. But I mean, by the scenes by themselves with the kid, like with the baby, and he's like using the oxygen for himself and the baby, they were tense and they were well directed. So I'd say it was worth. That half wasn't bad. It was worth the watch, and it was still kind of held its own to an extent. I just thought that the movie would be more in that way. I thought they'd go back and all that, but it felt like a very short film. I mean, it was short, but it felt like it was super quick as well, so it just felt like it was 70 minutes, but
felt like it flew by. Totally. And that's one of the best compliments I can give it, honestly. That you're totally right. Like all the scenes with the son, don't know their name, sorry, and and Emily Blunt and that side of them, they're all great scenes. I just, in terms of the scope of the story in the moment, I was like, I'd rather just go back to where we were. That's sort of how I was feeling in the moment. And there's still great stuff there. When Emily Blunt goes to the graveside of her other son and like leaves the ring there, that was a cool scene. So there's definitely stuff there, but my bigger point here is that as I was watching it, I was like, I don't know about this switching perspectives thing. The ending totally justified it, and I was like, dude, that was. I don't know if I want to say it was as cool as the first movie's ending, which was cool, but I liked it better because of how it sort of culminates the movie's editing and structural decisions. Because that moment where it's like, yeah, like I said, we've spent an hour like cutting back and forth between these two storylines. The moment when they use the radio to take down the alien, they're aliens, right?
Yeah.
I think they're aliens. cool. Yeah.
They say
I
they're
mean,
coming
yeah,
from
there
the
was
sky.
coming from the sky, right? I couldn't remember. Yeah. That moment when they use the radio to amplify the hearing aid signal and exploit the weakness that way, and it comes through on from both characters' perspectives, because they have what was it? They have the radio. Emily Blunt has a radio still, right? And it's like doing that saved both of them in their different contexts, and also reveals a greater way. Same ending as the first movie, effectively. It follows the formula of we've ended on a new revelation, which allows us to fight the aliens, once again, even more improved. And I love that. I was like, that's so cool how they, not literally like you were thinking might happen, Fitz. Yeah, and that's a good. I was sort of thinking the same thing. The characters didn't come together physically at the end of this movie, but they came together in terms of the moment and what it meant for the story. And I love that stuff. I thought it was awesome. And I thought it was really clever too. I can't think of a movie that's done that before. And that's the best way to evolve. When it's a similar sort of ending, effectively, in terms of its significance as the first movie, it's really cool to see them evolve it and make it really interesting. So I love that. How did you feel about all that, Jaden? How did you feel about the perspectives, the ending?
I quite liked it. I think I didn't like how the Emily Blunt and the kid's storyline was kind of spurred on by his stupid decisions. How he grows up and he sees the body and he knocks the thing. Like, you're in a post-apocalypse. You've been there for a year and a half. You should be smarter than this. So I don't like how stupid instances like that drove the story. But I think the way it worked with it was well enough. And I understand they needed something to make it happen. But yeah.
You do better than that, though.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's the only part of the script I think I didn't like. Yeah, it was explicitly that exact moment you're talking about, where he like sees the body and backs up and knocks everything. I'm like, really? Like, you just walk through the most horrifying scene I've ever seen of all these corpses, and you open the door and see one more, and you're like, oh,
they were just uniforms.
What? They weren't people hanging?
No, they were just uniforms.
Oh, I don't know that's not very scary then. Did you think one way or the other, Fitzy? Am I dumb? I swear they were hanging corpses. But yeah, if they're just that justifies it a bit more. Then that makes a bit more sense.
Oh yeah, no, I think I remember there being uniforms. Yeah.
Okay. I thought there were bodies in uniforms, but that makes a bit more sense if he opens and there actually is a dead person there. That makes sense. Yeah, even still though, like, I'm totally with you. I don't. That kind of shit. That's when it's like, my experience with watching The Walking Dead is like dumb character decisions over and over again, and that was the only time the movie did that where I'm like, oh, okay, great. Didn't appreciate it, especially when the movie doesn't really do it any other time. I don't think. I mean, the closest sort of weird convenience that we get is when the boat turns up on the island, but that was fine. I can buy that. That
was great. I think that was brilliant.
Great little moment. You mean like I agree. In terms of just thinking about like plot conveniences, that's the only one I can think of. But that one didn't bother me. Were there any others that bothered you like that, Jane?
What bothered me is the fact that they don't wear shoes at all. I mean, like the family, they're all barefoot. I mean, like any kind of footwear would be a better alternative to that. Like you see how
you gotta keep quiet,
dude. You can't tell me like a rubber-soled shoe or like socks even are gonna be. Socks would be perfect. They dampen the sound even more, and they won't cut up your feet when you're walking on rocks and shit.
Their feet looked awful. I hated looking at their feet.
Cillian Murphy had boots on. He was smart.
Oh, he did too. Yeah, you're right.
But they, for some reason, barefooted.
Yeah, that probably would have helped. That's true. That moment when what's his face, the son?
Oh, in the bear trap.
Dude. Oh.
That was great.
I felt that. That was crazy.
It was a good shock when he actually stepped on it. But I thought it was so funny when he started yelling. Like, that made me laugh. I don't know.
Made you laugh?
Yeah, just like...
You sadistic person.
Just screams. I don't know.
Oh my god, that'd be the most... Dude, I'm convinced I haven't experienced pain in my life like...
Until you step on a bear trap.
I think the most pain I've ever felt in my life is like 5% of that. You know what I mean? I'm convinced of that. That would kill. And I mean, sort of linking in with that, I mean, oh god, the sound design in this movie is impeccable. Which when your entire movie is built around sound, you'd hope so. But seeing it in the theater with Dolby Atmos, dude, oh my god, it just amplifies the quality of it. And that's, I think, more than anything, it's those two things that make this such a great theater experience, is that having the Dolby Atmos and the surround sound and that, and you know it's perfect. And you're not watching it at home and I don't know how good anyone, your variable sound quality. And when you like pause it to go and get a drink or something, like it just totally takes away from the experience, in my opinion. And the fact, of course, you're in the room with with other people that like you're sort of watching a movie, but it's this weird thing of like you feel like everyone else in the theater has to be quiet, which is this weird sort of visceral experience. But every little like step and noise obviously is felt by the audience, which is so important when it matters to the characters as well. Like every noise the character makes, they're shitting themselves about it. We're shitting themselves about it. And it makes you really conscious always of how loud characters are being. Like even just in scenes where like characters are talking, I'm like conscious of the fact, dude, are you talking too loud? Can you like, should you be quieter? And that's what's so cool about the movie. It adds so much tension, and I love that about it. They did such a good job making every little noise like distinct. When they're walking, or the moments, that moment at the end when they're like stepping through the window into the to the recording studio, and it's like everything on the desk is like making slight noises. I'm like, dude,
I like how like that could be seen as like an annoying movie thing where like it's a recording studio, so it all it all feels like it genuinely belongs there, and it is just a a small.
That's a great point.
Like I like the detail in that.
Yeah, and I love the sounds of the creatures, the aliens as well. They've got a cool sound.
They're so intimidating as well. I think they did a brilliant job, like the creature design, because I mean, like it's rather simple, like four-legged thing that's kind of moves around fast, but like they use it really effectively, and like it's I think the creature design's great.
Totally, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Did you have anything to add about the sound, Jane, or the score, I guess, as well?
Well, I love Marco Beltrami's score. I think it's so good. I think I was hoping he'd come back for this one, because I wasn't sure. I think he did a great job with the first one, and I feel like it was more present in this one because there was more moments where you didn't have to be quiet. So I think you felt it more. I thought it was great. I think he does a really great job in making this threatening sound. I think like because he also did the score for Logan, and like one of his tracks. I think it's X-24. When they're on the farm, and the Wolverine clone as it rocks up. It's such an intimidating theme, and he does a brilliant job in creating that. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize it was that guy. That's cool. Did you have any standout sound experiences seeing it with the others, Fitzy?
Yeah, only the odd joke when everything's silent here and there, but I think the whole, waiting for this to come to theaters is, I mean, it's this type of film and the first one. I mean, it's not even a type of film. Like, these two films are like the most, as you were saying, like theater films that are like great for a theater experience. Even if people are being annoying, because everyone has to be quiet in the room. It kind of adds weird rules to the room, so makes the room tense. Yeah.
Did you see that thing? Like when the first one came out, people were complaining to the theater when like other like viewers were like eating like snacks while like in quiet moments and shit like that.
Totally, yeah.
And like I was like, I get why you're complaining, but like what are they going to do about it?
It should be like, dude, you can't bring in certain snacks into this movie. You just can't. No popcorn allowed. But I totally agree with all that. And with the score, I actually particularly like the some of the quieter moments as well. Some of the more peaceful, like the movie does let you sit and breathe for a second. You know what I mean? It's not like a roller coaster. And those moments, I thought the score really shined to and was really peaceful and nice. I like that moment when they're when Cillian and Regan, like Cillian's on his character's name, Emmett.
Emmett,
Cool.
like the Lego Movie kid.
Yes, everything is awesome.
Yeah.
When they are on the bridge and they sort of look over to the island, that was a really peaceful, like, nice moment in the movie. Yeah. Although I didn't understand. I feel like there was something I missed, like, briefly in the setup of the movie when they have that first conversation with Cillian Murphy. How did she plan on helping the settlement over the ocean? Because that's the whole thing. She didn't want to go there for her own safety. She wanted to help them. Did she want to tell them about the weakness?
Yeah, she wanted to broadcast that feedback signal so that everyone could use it as a deterrent for the aliens.
Oh, and they say that.
Yeah, because they're broadcasting that song. So she's like, "Oh, we can broadcast this signal instead of the song." They literally say it like 3 times.
Okay. Wow, thanks for... Yeah, I love when you rub it in like that. That makes a ton of sense. I thought... So she actually wanted to end up at the radio station all along.
And that's why and that's like how she guilts, Cillian Murphy into it. She's like, "Oh, you're not my dad, because my dad would do this and you're not going to." And he's like, "Oh, fine, fuck it, I will,"
Sure, no, I got that. I didn't get that she actually explicitly wanted to broadcast. I get, the signal.
Oh, okay.
Like, I thought she wanted to tell them, like, spread the word that that they found the weakness of the aliens is using the earpiece, but it was more than that. It was more than that. That was cool. So I actually thought when the revelation at the end of the movie that they can use the radio, I thought that was like a reveal, but I'm dumb, obviously. I thought that was like, I didn't realize I was meant to get that.
It was more of a moment, the fact that, like, the brother realizes that, they made it, they're alive, and that they can use it type thing, not rather they reveal.
And it works, and it, right, okay. And it still converges the stories in the way I really like. Cool, okay. So I actually I misinterpreted the ending a little bit. That still makes it awesome, though. How'd you guys feel about the opening scene?
I was about to say,
how cool was it?
I loved a little bit of John McGon. I thought it was great. I thought it was effective that, it was a nice callback and without being too intrusive on this new story. I think it was a great opening scene and setting up how this happened. I love the use of extended shots in it as well. Because quite a few times, like, more than just, him walking to the store and into the game. Even after that, like, the shot would hold for that little bit longer, and they're just in that, those few seconds extra that most movies would have. So I really enjoyed that opening sequence.
Totally. I wasn't expecting. Now that I think about it, I didn't remember the trailers, but I think there actually was a scene in the trailer of it being like before the like day one. I didn't remember that, so I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, so it was a total surprise to me to see old mate John popping back up. He was great, and then of course it's sort of reintroduces you into the world, like you said, and at the same time, of course, introduces you to Cillian Murphy, which is pretty important.
I like how they also add that thing that comes in later on about the dive. It's stupid and it's obvious, and because it's so, the way it's written in, it's like, how do you say dive? And it's obvious it's going to come back a bit, but I think it works well.
It's no, dude, it's so good. Dude, if I'm writing a script, I don't care if I write a trash movie. If I can have one moment like that where I'm like, I paid the thing off, that I did the thing, I'd be proud of myself. I love that shit in movies where it's like such a simple little moment that is sort of throwaway and by itself, but is memorable enough so when it pays off, it's like you don't need to rub it into the audience. It's like, oh, I get it. I love that shit. And in that moment when he's like sitting there at the docks and he just does it, I'm like, dude, that was I love that. That was great. It's like my favorite part of the movie. No. But yeah, how'd you like the opening scene, Fitzy? Did you like the fact that those one shots? I mean, Emily Blunt actually had that bus driving at her. That's pretty intimate. That's pretty scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did a lot of stunt stuff.
Yeah, no, I thought the machine was pretty great. I mean, we talked about the film versus digital thing.
Oh, yeah.
Last week. And I've been thinking about it, like, throughout the week, basically. And I thought this film was very, like, digital looking, but I think it was actually, like, looking into what I can find about the technical specifications. I think it was shot on film mostly, but I don't know. I thought it didn't feel like it. I guess so. Maybe I'm wrong about me. Being able to guess. Maybe I'm just
Your intuition is off. Interesting. I didn't know that. I highly recommend people. I love doing this shit. There's plenty of these videos. There was particularly this one video of John Krasinski on YouTube where he like breaks down the opening scene, and he's got like, I don't know, it's one of those magazine Variety or I don't know, like hosted for him, and he's got the scene and he's got like a whiteboard, like he can write on the screen, and he breaks down the scene, and it's so interesting. I highly recommend people go and check it out. He talks about like all the stunts they did and how the shot with Emily Blunt, like her reversing, the camera actually broke during it, and you can see it. You can actually see the camera like move off where it's not meant to be, but it works. It's really cool. Check it out.
Speaking about, I love how disorienting the camera work is when Millicent doesn't have an earpiece, especially that scene like where she wakes up and Cillian Murphy's taking it. And it's like that overhead shot of her wandering out, and like it feels steady, but it's that little bit like dangling around, and like it does such a good job of like showing her showing her disorientation through the camera. I thought that was great.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I love that every time I don't know, did the first movie do it? Would be like shift into her little like perspective.
I'm pretty sure it did.
I love that. I love that as a framing device. I guess I love that. And how like we sort of then hear, like we sort of go into her headspace, we hear as she hears. Every time they do that, it's like adds this extra element of sort of reminding you what she has to deal with when it comes to the aliens and shit. She can't hear them coming, and it adds to the tension. Everything. It's really good. But yeah, I mean, we talked about the ending. This is totally setting up a part 3, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
I didn't like how I'm pretty sure like part 3, like I saw a bit of news saying that part 3 was in the works. I don't appreciate how obvious it was that this one was setting up a new film. You know, the first one ends a bit open and but you know it kind of ends resolutely enough that you could just take it as this is a one-off experience. Whereas this one kind of leaves it setting up the next one for them to reunite or whatever. So I didn't quite love that, but I mean like it's not that big of an issue really.
I don't mind that. I hear you. I don't mind that as much in sequels. You know, if a part 2, like if a movie by itself, like if the first one had done it, and it's like, look, we're trying to make a franchise, that would be like,
yeah, okay.
That would bother me more. But because it's a part 2, maybe if we get to part 6 and they're still doing it, it might bother me a bit more. You know what I mean? But I hear you. I hear you though. That makes sense.
I hope they can end this off as a trilogy. I wouldn't want it. I mean, you know, obviously, if they can maintain it being good, then I'll consume more content. But, I think then be wary of how much you make. I think is going to be key for this.
Yeah, I can see this being a great sort of modern horror trilogy, for sure. Here's some trivia for you. Sort of links into that a little bit. John Krasinski stated that he originally did not want to be involved in this sequel. But the producer convinced him to come over and pitch his ideas to the studio. I actually heard him talk about this. He said that they were like, the studio was like, we're going to make a sequel with or without you. Can you just write some story outlines for us? And he's like, sure. After 3 weeks, he wrote some ideas for the story. And as soon as he did that, he realized, no, I'm directing this movie. It's happening. That's neat.
That's the point I'm worried about the series reaching like the way like so many like 80s and 90s like or like even 70s like horror franchises did, like, you know, after the first one or even, you know, after the second, even the first one, sometimes directors or writers would leave and they just kind of the studio would just assign random talent that they were associated with, and it's detrimental to the quality of the product because they don't understand, because it's not their IP, you know. They're trying to do what they can with it, but it's not their thing, you know. So I'm worried about that reaching this point. But if John's happy to stay on, you know.
Yeah, and that was, if that exact scenario laid out didn't happen, that would have been this movie. You know, and it's cool it isn't. Yeah, and I don't think John would have written that setup if he didn't intend on directing a third one. You know.
Yeah, the one exception to that is like Matt Reeves taking on the Planet of the Apes after Dawn. So yeah,
that's right, because he only did the second 2, didn't he?
Yeah, I like the references to the station agent that are in the film.
So that was the train from the station agent.
Yeah, 100%.
Confirmed.
Oh, really?
Oh, and they do like sleep in that station.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing, dude. I'm in my head canon. That's the same thing. That's great. Peter Dinklage's little corpse is just there. And you're like, well, that's pretty dark. That's pretty dark.
Oh my God.
They're building a shared universe. I don't know.
The more I think about it, the more I really love that little moment of them going from the train station to the pier, because of how Last of Us it did feel. You know, I could perfectly imagine Joel and Ellie in that exact situation, just like wandering this desolate bridge, and then, dude, I think that's such a great little thing.
It's the look of the world. I think it's like sunset at the time. It's the father-daughter dynamic. Yeah, absolutely.
Even like you know how at the start, like the title appears out of the particles of like the dust. Yeah, you know, like how like the on the Last of Us, like the menu, like it has like that dust thing that kind of like wafts around. Do you remember? Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
I like
this didn't bother me that much. I just had the thought that like I think I would have liked a bit more because this is like day 430 something, right? So this is like a year and a half. 400. Wow, God, you nailed that. So it's like a year and a bit into the apocalypse here. Only little nitpick would be, I don't know if, I guess now that I'm saying it, he did help them, but even still, I think my point stands. When they reconvene with Cillian Murphy, when he helps them and they end up back in the little safe vault thing, and they talk it out. At that point, I'd be very concerned, dude. You don't know what this person's been through in the last year. People turn to cannibals and shit in the apocalypse. You know what I mean? I don't know. They seem to trust him very quickly, is my point. I feel like they were sort of immediately on the same page of like, can you help us? And he's like, no. I feel like there could have almost been like a step before that where it's like, should we even trust you anymore? Like the fact that you survived, we survive because we can communicate in sign language and that's awesome. How did you survive? Are you some sort of sicko? Sort of a fair question.
Well, I think that's just a quality of the Abbott family, the trustingness, and like I think like the fact that how like they were communicating with the fire, like and like indicating to like the other settlements that they were alright. I think probably because they were doing that regularly, they probably assumed that they could come to help if they needed. And the fires of Rohan. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The post-apocalyptic fires of Rohan. I love that shit. Does the is it explicitly the fire? The other fire that's lit at the start, is that one actually Cillian Murphy, or is it just?
I don't know if it exactly is that one, but yeah, I think
he was probably participating too.
Yeah, he
because she had the map and like she was circling like other civil.
When they get to the train station, like it does pin over a fire on the rooftop that he does have. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah. No, that makes sense. I can buy that. It wasn't. It was just a thought I had. It wasn't like this movie's trash.
I think talking about earlier about things that come back. I think in that first time they get to the train station, he closes them in the cylinder and then he sets the timer, and then they keep on repeating that, and then until it finally pays off in like a set piece. I think that was also another good moment of like
set up, payoff, totally. Yeah, because at first I didn't. I think like the first time, like he has because the little alarm was going off a few times, like it starts beeping and stuff. And the first time I was like, "What is that?" And I realized, they can't stay in there forever. And then and then that ends up being the crux of the final moments there. And I mean, huge shout out. I feel like we talked about Cillian Murphy and Millie, the deaf actress. She's terrific. But shout out to everyone in the movie, really. I mean, I don't want to pass up Emily Blunt here. She's great too, obviously. I feel like that sort of goes without saying, but
a dynamic I always really dislike is the baby in the apocalypse situation, because it's just such a nuisance, and like I mean I understand they're at the farm, like I can from a character perspective, if they're safe at the farm, sure, whatever, but now that they're wandering the world, just fucking kill it. I don't know, drown it, burn it. Get it taken away.
Jesus Christ!
Because like it's such a nuisance, and like it I don't like what it does, because it just creates complications for the characters, and then those complications are it becomes what drives the story, and that's what I don't like. I don't like when inconveniences drive the story, and that's what that baby is going to be.
They did it.
I think they did an alright job here, But like
Yeah.
even in her needing to go out to get more air or whatever for the, I mean, she does go for medicine for the other kid as well, but you know, or like the fact that they have to carry him in a fucking box so he doesn't cry and shit. Like, you know, I think the big thing is that he cries in a world where you can't be loud. You know, that's like the biggest issue. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
No, I get you. There's there's interesting real world. I don't know. Yeah, some choices might have to be made. I don't actually. I might cut that out because I sound like a psychopath. But nah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But no. I think that's totally valid. I think this movie handled it well though, where like there was that moment when they're like the first time they're running from the alien right before they shoot it the first time, right before the son falls into the bear trap, and Emily Blunt's like running for her life with the baby in her hand, in her arms. I had a moment where I was like, dude, that baby is impressively quiet. You know, I was like, dude, that's impressive that baby's not making any noise. But then I think, what would the alternative be, Zach? Oh, the baby's loud, and then I'd be pissed off that the movie is having loud baby like drive the story, like you're saying. So I honestly think like that they very deliberately tried to stay away from crying baby draws aliens, you know?
Mm.
So I appreciated that about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think Cillian Murphy, I thought he was going to take the position that you were talking about to just, you know, we got to kill this thing, but
This thing.
yeah, but he didn't do that. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, if they can get the baby to the island, then you know, fuck, it's all good. But I mean, like, that little between.
Oh, the moment when Cillian Murphy looks at the people at the island and they're like peaceful, and he's like shocked that, you know, there's this peaceful like little community. I thought that was a nice moment of like, you know, relief. Yeah.
We haven't even really talked about that island. Not that it's in the movie that much, but I totally agree. It's striking to me too. You know, like Cillian has that moment. I have that moment as the audience because I haven't seen anything remotely like this in this world. And he peeks around the corner and it looks like I'm just looking at like the Torquay Caravan Park. You know what I mean? Like perfectly as it is now. You know, and that's striking. I'm like, oh, this is nuts. Unfortunately, it doesn't really last. Although it sort of does. It kills a few people, but I think they got it okay. They took it out at the end, and that place is probably still fine.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the differences between like these people and the island who aren't as accustomed anymore to this like high tension survival, and Cillian when the black guy. Sorry, I don't know.
Jimon, yeah.
Jimon?
Yeah,
okay.
Jimon, yeah.
When Jimon, you know, he gets to the shed and he's with Cillian, and then he's freaking out because he's like, oh shit, did we like take it far enough? You know, what about my daughter? What about my family? And Cillian's like really, like he would be really stressed as well, but he's like able to handle it because over the past year and a half, you know, he's had to actually deal with these creatures, and they're kind of, the people on the island aren't as, you know, accustomed to that stress. So in that moment, it was like he's, you know, he dies because he's like freaking out, which I thought was a neat touch.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think it's reflected in the acting of everyone on that island too. The brief little bits we see, like the children and stuff, like it feels out of place how detached they are from that reality. That, you know, like you say, Cillian's totally switched on to it. All right. Well, I guess to sort of wrap up, I'll just ask this question, Fitzy. Do you prefer the first or second A Quiet Place movie? That sounded like the Windows startup sound briefly, that little noise. That was good. That was great.
I don't know. It's been it's only been 3 years ago, but they're about the same. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Jane?
I don't know. I think I've latched onto that little moment too much of like their journey, you know, and like I'm like shit. How much do I actually love the whole movie? You know, because like I think you know, I think Millicent and Cillian Murphy's little journey, I think it's probably like the best moment of in both movies. And like I think I'm just trying to think, you know, am I latching onto that too much that I prefer this one, or, you know, I think the first one is probably, I don't know, I think the first one just because it's more unique.
Sure. Yeah, and the way they use the house and I always liked the lights
Yeah,
they hang up, and how can they use them to communicate and stuff. All the
yeah,
communication methods are great, and it's a huge. I can't believe I haven't mentioned this. Like, I love the fact that the main, the main character of this movie is deaf, and obviously, like, they use sign language constantly in the movie. I love that shit because I don't see it in movies very often at all, and I think it's really cool, and it's a perfect fit for the world and everything. I think it's really neat. I prefer this movie personally. Like, I liked the first movie, but where the first movie was just like, that was a cool focused like concept of a horror movie. This is now a world I care about. Whereas I don't know if I could say that about like the farmstead in the first movie. You know what I mean? This is a universe I am interested in seeing more of now. So it did that for me. So I think I'd pick this movie. But with that, we'll get into our final verdicts of A Quiet Place Part 2. Liam, you can proceed.
Oh, I should say I'm trying to like not think about ratings as much, just because like I think about them too often,
Yeah.
Especially at the end of movies. I'm like, what am I gonna rate this? Or whatever. But I don't know.
In saying that, I'm going to think about it a lot.
7 or an 8. I don't know. I don't know if I can decide.
Let's leave it at that. That's fine. 7.5. Why not?
7.5.
Why not? What about you, Jay?
We're getting into a 20-point system. Oh no.
That's an informal. I wanted to be clear. Cinema Effect is not officially considering a 20-point system. That is just informal. that is an informal verdict.
Yeah, I'm landing on an 8, which is the same I've given the first one. I think this, where it excels and where it falls is different. I think, but I think it all ends up the same. I think it's there's smidgens of things here that I don't really like too much, but I still think it's a great experience, especially in the cinema. So yeah,
in the cinema
4D
never gets old. It's an easy 8 for me, and I think I'd be very surprised if this doesn't end up in my top 5 movies of the year. Really loved it. All right, let's get into news chat.
I'm going to quickly duck out.
Oh, sure. No, go for it. We've got a Lord of the Rings anime film announced. I feel like I should be a bit offended over, So, because I read about this yesterday and the wording was animated. I was seeing in the articles. I was like, animated. Yeah. And of course, anime is animated. I'm not, like, obviously. But I was picturing something different. And then to come in here, I got it written down properly. It's an anime film. It's called, oh my God, dude, I can't with these Middle-earth names. It's called The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. It looks like Rohan, so I presume it's whatever you call the Rohan people. Rohirrim.
So it's not the main story, I guess, in some Middle-earth history.
It is set either 100 or 1,000 years before the events of the films, of the books. I saw it follows this king of Rohan at that time, whoever the king of Rohan is. I think it was 100 years, I want to say. Okay. And it's the war of something. They have a war with someone at that time. I don't know enough about Middle-earth. I thought it was really cool. And my understanding is like there was nothing attached to the announcement in terms of being like a Netflix project or whatever. Like this is as far as I understand at this stage anyway, this is a theatrical film. So that's pretty exciting. Would you go and see that, Fitzy? Does that pickle your onion? I love that saying.
Yeah, no, that sounds interesting. It's I guess with the Amazon series, it's kind of maybe opened this kind of thing up to more, green lights, more popularity among producers. So that's a good thing, I guess, because I don't know shit about Middle-earth history, but I'm sure there's a lot of interesting, stuff there.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm exactly the same. I got no idea, but I'm here for it, because I just know Lord of the Rings as like the book and the movie trilogy by itself, but the idea of it, and it's so funny that it's happening. I feel like some of this stuff is weirdly happening 20 years late. Not that it's never too late for Middle-earth, but like it's funny that we're now getting this big like media expansion of like a new TV series and animated projects and all this like cool stuff.
Right, yeah, like this resurgence.
Yeah, it's sort of random. Like what sparked it? You know, like The Hobbit. Like you could argue The Hobbit, but that was already like 10 years ago. You know.
Yeah,
So it's sort of weird.
but it is weird. But I guess you have more advanced technology to handle this. You know, because this Lord of the Rings is like a massive world. So there's a lot of money that's going to go into, you know, trying to adapt, I guess, not recreate, but like, create something that's like true to the world, and, you know, has good, you know, good animation or whatever it is, good actors for the show. So I think it's cool that we're getting all this stuff now.
Yeah, totally. Better late than never when it comes to all this. I guess we'll never know what Jaden thinks. So,
Nah.
rip. Now, Fitzy, I know this one's gonna... No, this one's gonna get you hyped. I'm telling you. So, I've got for you right now, Aquaman. James Wan confirmed Aquaman's sequel subtitle. Now, did you see it?
What was it? I swear, but I don't remember it. It was it was something crazy. What was it?
I promise you, it's not crazy at all. It's the most generic subtitle of all time. I want you to...
Okay.
I want you to try, genuinely. I want you to even like take away the part of your brain that's trying to remember. Try and guess a subtitle for Aquaman 2, and you've got a good chance of getting it. I'm not joking. I'll get Jane to do the same in a second.
Sea of Justice.
It's not bad. You're off. That. You're off, but you're not. It's not bad. It's not a bad guess, Jaden. Did you see James Wan announced Aquaman 2 subtitle? Did you see this?
No.
Awesome. So I want you to try and guess what you think it is, and you've got a very good chance of getting it right.
Is Amber Heard in the movie?
Yes.
Return of the Wife Beater. Husband beater.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's not.
Let's not? No? Dude, it isn't. Dude, on her she still posts regularly on Instagram, but her comments are still disabled. I mean, like, she should not be anywhere near the entertainment industry.
Yeah, it's not a great look if your comments are disabled, to be honest. Although, to be fair, I say that, I'd probably disable my comments if I were famous too.
No, it's not because she's famous. Every famous person has them enabled. It's because she's fucking beat her husband. That's why.
Oh, no, yeah, but I'm saying I would disable them because that drove me mad. But for different reasons, I'd like to think. I'd disable them.
You
can guess it.
My
you
official
can
guess.
This title. You can totally guess this. It's not hard. Not that you have telepathic powers, but think of like top 3 generic subtitles and like do a bit of a combination guessing here.
Ever since Liam said his, I'm like, damn, that's actually really good.
Sea of Justice, yeah, it's not bad.
I think it's better.
I don't know. I don't know. Water world. I don't know.
Okay, all right. So I think, I don't know if you guys would agree. I think the 3 most generic subtitles you can get are Origins, The Lost Something, or The Last Something. And this is The Lost Kingdom.
Is it?
Could you add
Wait, Aquaman?
I just sworn it was something else.
Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. Did you see do you reckon you saw like a meme page or something that was like a piss take?
Yeah, maybe I saw like a fake photo. Yeah,
that'd be great. Maybe he did see the wife beater one. That's crazy. Like they photoshopped
husband.
It. Yes. Don't want to discriminate. So anyway, get hyped for that. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jane, what have you been watching?
Zachary, do you want to start a debate, or do I talk about it or something else?
Start the debate.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's up to you because that's mine. If you want to take advantage and get another thing in there, or if you don't really care, we can just combine them.
What's a debate?
I'll quickly mention Demon Slayer then. I started Demon Slayer, which is an anime from 2019, and it's been lauded as really good and, one of the best of all time or some shit, and like it's really, really hyped up. And I was 7 episodes in, and like it is really good. I'm not sure best of all time yet, but then again I've got like 20 episodes to go. But I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool. It's well animated. I think the main character design is really great. They've instantly made an icon through simple things, like through this mark on his head, and then like the earrings they've given him. They're really distinguished. their protagonist there, and I think they've done a great job in creating something that's going to be remembered. The story is really interesting. I think it's really emotional. Well, not emotional. I think it's the emotion that comes through is really great. And I'm keen to watch more of it. I'm really enjoying it.
Is it on Netflix? Because I think
It
I've
is,
seen it there.
yeah.
Okay. How do you take the word of an anime fan that it's the best of all time, though?
Oh, I mean, best of all time probably is a stretch, but I've only seen it praised. Like I've never seen anything negative against it. So yeah, and it's very highly praised as well. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. And then do you want to? Oh no, Fitzy should go first. Next, I mean, Fitzy, you should go.
I watched most of pretty much all of what Jim Cummings has done this week. Yeah, I think he's pretty great. He's like an independent filmmaker who kind of he advocates like for filmmaking outside the kind of Hollywood system, I guess, and he's had the same like kind of friends that he's kind of reused as like cast and crew members. So he did his first short was the Thunder Road short, which won Sundance. And it's just he's the actor, director, writer, probably editor, all that of it, and he's a really great actor as well as director. And once he did that, he did the Thunder Road feature film, which I watched this week. The first scene of the feature is basically the short from Thunder Road. So I guess if you want to gauge, if you want to watch that, just watch the short film, which is it's this shot in this church, which I like how the church is in both scenes. It's like it's symmetrical by kind of nature. So it's just this slow zoom in, and because of the symmetry of everything in the church, it kind of everything is like visually interesting at each second of the zoom, kind of, which is just some kind of interesting technique to use when you don't have a great budget to kind of make it visually unique. But it's just him, like he's at his mother's funeral and he's like fumbling and trying to speak, and he's like trying to dance to this Bruce Springsteen song, Thunder Road. And both his features are kind of about him dealing with all these problems in his life, like his mother or father dying, and like getting ill, I guess, and like all this, just like having a lot of things on his plate at the same time, basically. And that's kind of his forte so far. And yeah, I know he's an exciting new director, I guess. So I think people should support him and check him out. He's interesting.
Thunder is very funny. The short film.
Yeah. His stuff is pretty funny, as well as just like very empathetic and emotional. He's kind of like balancing all these different tones. So especially in Wolf is No Hollow, where you also have like a bit of horror as well. He's not the most like horrific film, but pretty cool guy.
That's neat. I've just been looking him up because the only Jim Cummings I know is the voice actor who, of course, voices Winnie the Pooh, my favourite. But so I've just been. I was like, that's not the same guy. So I've been looking up. He's the star of Thunder Road too. That's cool.
Yeah. He was the main character in both his films so far. So, and the beta test is coming out this year. About this Hollywood agent, and yeah.
Oh yes.
So yeah.
All right. So this can be a triple threat debate, Jaden. This doesn't have to be a one-on-one. Right?
Yeah,
we can go.
It's going to be me fighting you two, though. So
we can punch in all directions.
So
we you're getting ready, you're getting warmed up. Yeah. I watched, and Jaden watched, and Fitzy has seen Raya and the Last Dragon. It just came to Disney Plus for free, which I noticed last week. I saw it on the main screen. I was very happy about that. But I watched it last night, and I liked it a lot, man. I liked it a lot. So to kick off this debate, my opening argument. Let's see. The world is
Opening
awesome. Yeah.
The world is shit.
What?
Ooh.
What?
It's fucking. No, I mean, like, I don't really have a problem with the world, but I think the fact that it's a dragon-shaped river that is built around it is fucking cringe.
You think it's
Wait, what
cringe? I
was
think
it?
it's awesome.
Wait, what was the dragon-shaped one?
Like the river that the world is built around is like a dragon, and
Oh.
like and then it's cringe, and then
Didn't even know.
And it's
the
like
surrounding
and
land is
each,
called Heart, Talon, and shit. Like, it's fucking
each
eye roll.
land is named after a part of the dragon, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was really unique. I haven't seen anything like that. I thought it was really clever. And I think, in the day and age of, I don't know, how much fantasy have we seen? You know what I mean? I thought it was quite distinctive. I quite enjoyed that about it. Anyway, that was just my opening argument.
Can we get
And
the
I just
biggest
love
thing
the
out of the way?
aesthetic too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking dragon still looks like absolute ass. It looks like dog shit. It is so fucking bad. And then when there was, I mean, like, I really cannot express how bad that dragon design is.
I disagree, but I also understand I don't think it's great. I don't think it's dog shit. It grew on me. It grew on me for sure.
It certainly did not grow on me.
Yes, that's fair enough. How were you on it, Fizzy? I thought you liked it, right?
Yeah. I mean, the character is purposefully like not supposed to be a brave, fierce dragon-like character. So the fact that she's like this long, spindly thing, I didn't mind, and I thought it was different. I liked it.
I mean, like, that character, yeah, wasn't meant to be brave or fierce or whatever, but then all the other dragons also look like that. They look like they're straight out My Little Pony fucking thing.
I do look like that. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, then, like, the counter argument is that, it's just a, East Asian dragon interpretation, and you're used to seeing Eurocentric ones. But, like, no, like there are other, like, I think the dragon in Spirited Away looks great. I think, like, there are ways to do this, Asian style dragon and still make it look really, really epic. And this movie just does not do it.
I totally feel you. I think for me, I think it started growing on me the more the character was interacting, like when they're all on the boat together, and when the character is like interacting with the humans on that level, like just like she's sort of standing there like amongst them all. I thought that's when it worked best, because at that point I'm not like, this is some mythical dragon or what. It just felt like another creature who can talk, just sort of standing there with them, and I thought that was fine. But yeah, I don't disagree with you though. When they're all like flying off, yeah, like when they're all sort of together and stuff, it does feel a bit cutesy for, I feel like, the rest of because I really like the rest of the aesthetic. I love like the dystopian
I think it looks great. Yeah.
Feel. Yeah, and I mean it's animated beautifully, but even just like the world building in terms of like the way the different cities look and shit, I love that shit. So then contrasting that with like the dragons are very colourful, which, I mean, it's sort of like the return of life to the world or whatever. So I sort of get that, but I do understand that a little bit. But hey, the dragon design's like, it's a tiny part of the movie. You know what I mean?
Not when the dragon's a big part of your movie.
Yeah, I mean, did you like the character? We'll say that.
No.
She annoyed you?
Yep.
She annoyed me at first too.
The way that I remember when we were talking about Soul and we were all watching it, Liam mentioned about how 22 was, she was designed to be that annoying side character, but she was too annoying for Liam. I feel the same way about this dragon. It's just way too annoying.
That's fair enough. I definitely, she grew on me again. Like when she comes to life and she starts cracking jokes immediately, I'm like when they're in that cave or whatever they're in, I'm like, oh, don't know about this. But the more heart-to-heart conversations they have, and like obviously the main theme of the film being about trust, like it's pretty overt, and like the conversations they have about that, and her taking Raya back to the her homeland, to Heart, like all that stuff I really liked and really made the character. I liked her in the end. I wouldn't say she was amazing, but it all worked for me in the end though. And how good, dude? Come on, the action was great.
Yeah, no, okay, I can read it.
What about that sword that turned into a whip?
Yeah,
that was sick.
But
that was great.
You mentioned themes, and I think that I don't like, like it's naive and childlike and just boring. Trust, and everyone has good in them. Like, no, sometimes the lesbian bitch is just a bitch. It's like not everyone has this deep down good, and you can't trust, and like it just annoyed me. So yeah.
I think the film acknowledges that though, because like it's not like
does it? Because every single character
right.
becomes good. The big burly warrior man is actually deep down a sweetheart. The con baby is actually really cute and whatever. Even the mother of the child, that's like even the people in town, she's like, oh, actually, I just misunderstood everyone all along, and it's okay. There is not a bad character in the film, and that is an issue.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I think that's true. I think it's more of a reflection of the Disney animated style trying to reflect the moral of the story. You know what I mean? I think it'd be weird for them to try and communicate their message for their targeted demographic if that did end up being like if there were some of them that were still dodgy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think just
I
communicating
recognize
the message.
I recognize why it is, but I don't like why it is.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But I do like the fact that Raya's, the whole thing is that she like can't get over herself for trusting the friend she met 5 minutes ago, and the movie never sort of rectifies that specifically. I think and it obviously like comes around to the message to be obviously trust everyone, be the opposite. But it never the movie never explicitly is like, never I guess justifies that betrayal in that moment. You know what I mean? Like it's very much like, yeah, like that was a shit thing to do, and that can still happen. But I think it's more, that's not worth. That shouldn't cut you off. That's not one betrayal. Shit goes down in life. That's not worth not, closing yourself off like Raya does. You know what I mean? Like Raya's like, I can't trust anyone ever again. I think that's sort of
No, she dooms the world. I think
it's
valid. She sends the world into a hellhole. I think it's valid in her closing off.
But the world can never return if she doesn't open up.
Doesn't need to. Fuck
it. Screw it. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, that's look, right. It's still a 5 out of 10. I think there's still enough there to warrant a watch because it's a Disney movie. I think there's enough to latch onto, but I think it is rather weak in most things it tries. I think the voice performance is great. I think Gemma Chan and what's her name again? Rose Tico from Star Wars. What's her name?
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, I think she does a great job. Yeah, I really like her as Raya. But yeah, there's not too much I can say positively about.
All right, well that's that. Let's get into our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is your favourite movie involving inanimate objects coming to life? Luke said, the first thing that came to mind was Toy Story. I haven't seen the fourth one, but I enjoyed all of the others. Those Randy Newman songs were great too. Toy Story has to be a solid choice. It is a solid choice. Yeah, I can't go wrong. I think you're picking the wrong Toy Story, but that's fine.
Which one would you pick?
Unless he's just saying the franchise. Toy Story 3, absolutely. And then Andy said, my favourite movie which involves the inanimate objects coming to life happens to be a 1958 short film called The Red Balloon. Well, the red balloon doesn't speak, sleep, eat or drink. Neither does it have legs, arms, or any facial features. So I wasn't really sure if this counts. Regardless, it is a perfect short film set in Paris. It's about a friendship between a boy and the red balloon. I love how the red balloon follows the boy wherever it goes. It feels simple, pure, heartwarming. There's so much beauty to the meaning of friendship once you watch this short film. I highly recommend it. Entertainment doesn't simply need to have talking animals or toys from Toy Story. Shots fired. It can come from something as simple as a floating red balloon, which I believe provides a bigger spark of life than some bloody 3D animated characters. Oh my god. Just don't be as fucking stupid as Disney with their short film Bao. I how Bao somehow keeps coming up. Like Bao is like a myth that we talk about. Oh my god, that movie. I was gonna so it is. I guess it is coming to life then, Andy.
Yeah.
Like so, it follows the boy around. Okay, no, that counts. If it has like some sort of conscious idea of what it's doing. Anyways, what are our answers? What are our answers? You go first, Fitzy. Tell me. Spill the beans.
Well, first, I just want to get this out of the way.
Okay. Yes.
Toy Story 2 is the best Toy Story film. So you can fuck off, Zach, with your Toy Story 3.
You're
Bullshit.
definitely wrong, but Toy Story 2
um,
is also really good. That's true.
But my answer is something I watched recently. Christine. It's this movie about a car coming to life and helping the driver to kill this nerd driver to kill his like bullies and people who turn against him, and the car like repairs itself when it gets damaged, and it's like it's a Stephen King adaptation, and it's kind of like cheesy fun kind of, and it's like a little, it's not like horror, but it's a bit horrifying. It's like surreal at times, kind of. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It feels very Stephen King, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like a messed up version of Herbie.
Herbie?
You know?
What's Herbie?
Herbie
Is
is
that
that.
the same thing?
No, Herbie is that, that carries that car, that
The beetle,
car,
the racing beetle.
yeah, that is comes to life.
Okay.
You never heard of Herbie?
I don't think so. So just
No,
cars.
you're missing out.
No, it's just the one car that comes alive, right? It's only Herbie.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Just to make sure you're aware of it, you're definitely not missing out on anything. It's
Well, which Herbie have you seen? Have you seen the modern remake or the original ones?
Oh, probably the modern remake then, I guess.
I mean,
The original ones. How old are they?
Either way, you're not missing out on much.
Oh, okay. Right.
I think they're 60s. Yeah, the original ones.
Herbie franchise reviews? Question mark? Let's not. Jaden, what's your answer?
My answer is The Cat Returns, which is the Studio Ghibli film, and there's a cat statue that comes to life, and is why it's a valid answer.
Yes, right.
I spoke about this movie, I don't know, like 10 weeks ago, 30 weeks ago, however many weeks ago it was.
100 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a great movie, absolute banger from Ghibli, one of their best, in my humble opinion, and yeah, I don't have much to add because I already said it all back then.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So everyone go back to episode 28.
Yeah, Zach will link it in the comments.
I will not. My answer's Toy Story 3. I already mentioned it. Yeah, it's great. Great movie. It's an awesome movie. I rewatched dude, that's already been, oh my God, that's insane. That's already been, I rewatched them all before Toy Story 4. And I'm now realizing that was 2 years ago, which is insane. I feel like I just did that. So yeah, but Toy Story 3 is amazing. They're all great.
I just never had. I feel like I'm missing out because I never had a connection with Toy Story to the degree it seems that most people did. I think they're fine films, but like
Right.
I just, people that say Toy Story 3 and 2 and whatever and masterpieces and stuff like
It is there.
they're movies.
I feel that. I mean, I don't feel it for Toy Story at all. They're all great, but I mean, I know what it's like.
It's a feeling that you can
watch something that everyone else likes and go like, it was alright.
Yeah.
I think we all have that.
Mm.
But how many have you seen, Jaden? Have you seen all 4?
I've seen 3. I haven't seen 4.
What did you think of 4, Fitzy? I don't know if we've talked about that.
I think I enjoyed it. I don't really have feelings towards it.
Oh shit! It looks it up and he actually gave it a 3. Oh well.
I don't know.
3 out of 10 or 3 out of 5?
Although I
3 out of
I
10.
rewatched some of the Toy Stories, and the first one, the animation seems really old.
It can be a struggle. Yeah.
And sorry, Zach, but that's kind of the same with the Incredibles.
I get that. I get that.
A bit outdated, but and 4. I think I tried to watch 4 as well, but I think 2 and 3 are the best.
Is 2 the one with Sid, or is that number 1?
Sid's number 1. Yeah.
What's number 2's story then?
Number 2 introduces Jesse and the mining guy, and also like the chicken guy and Zord. And
Yeah,
Buzz's dad, Zorg or whatever.
Yeah.
So it has all these.
Zorg.
What's his name?
Zurg.
Something like Zurg.
Same shit.
I mean,
yeah.
it introduces all these cool characters and just the. I don't know. It's almost like a heist movie, like the way that they go to the building and like, up the vents and everything, and the airport scene is great. So yeah, the two that I like to rewatch were those two.
I love when they cross the road and they,
The cones.
cones.
Yeah, that's iconic.
It's definitely not conspicuous at all when cones are just moving across the road. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
What?
Shit! Doing... Sorry. I actually immediately regret.
Oh. Yeah. No, you're
and
right.
our question of the show.
I was going to say, did you forget to mention that?
This week's question of the show, as you'll see in the pinned comment and likely already have seen on the YouTube version. Of course, if you're listening on audio, then I don't know what to tell you, but we're asking you to write in via either the YouTube comments or Instagram DM about what is your favourite short film. Let us know. Anyway, I'm very sorry for interrupting. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
Next week, we did the poll on Instagram, so the poll movie, and Zach has finally been defeated. He chose 300, and Zach and Jaden chose Gone Girl. So Gone Girl, David Fincher's Gone Girl won, and we'll be watching that next week.
I would thank you all for voting in the poll, but I don't know if I can bring myself to thank you for turning against me.
But it was a huge win as well.
Dude, like 5 months in a row. That's. Oh, did Gone Girl win by a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, really? What was the final percentage? I tried to find it, but I couldn't see it.
It was like 65-35-ish, or 63-37, around there.
Wow.
It was a solid win.
Imagine that. The king dethroned.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah.
And Gone Girl is on Amazon Prime, I believe.
And Netflix, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't as of yesterday when I checked.
Are you sure? Because I swear it was on Netflix, unless it just got removed.
Have a double check. I could be wrong.
It's just on Prime in Australia.
Well, shit. All right.
Oh, I'm excited to rewatch it though.
When was the last time you saw it?
I remember having mixed feelings. I think I watched it in the cinema, maybe in the theater.
Oh, cool. Right.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you guys joining me as always. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your week, everyone listening, and goodbye.